Good evening and welcome to the June 1st, 2023 ARB meeting. Would you please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, and Lucas, if you could just call the roll, please.
Sure. Endon McIntyre. Here. Carlos Garcia-Boo.
Here.
Laura Raffiani.
Present.
Jennifer Nemechek.
Here.
Silvio Luca.
Here.
Alrighty. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 4, which was attended by me, Jennifer, and Enda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty. And then I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of May 4th, which was a meeting attended by myself, Carlos, and Jennifer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty. Very good. All right, so the first item tonight on the agenda is old business 23-13 Embassy Cleaners at 826 Scarsdale Avenue. Please come up.
Not easy. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Let me just set up some things on the board here, if I may.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this was approved before, right?
Yes.
Right, and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the parking.
Yeah.
This is just.
So is that thing visible? Excuse me, video guy? I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it.
Oh, you can see the thing now. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you all again. Well, most of you. My name is Andrew Rivkin, the owner of the property at 826 Scarsdale Avenue. I'm also the owner of Embassy Cleaners, which will be the sole tenant of this property.
Okay.
And rather than have my architect present tonight, I've decided to present myself in light of the fact that I will be a member of the Eastchester business community. I feel that I would like to stand up in front of you all for that reason. We're here tonight to review the colors of the exterior of the building at 826 Scarsdale Avenue. But before we look at the colors, I just wanted to mention a few important points for your consideration. Firstly, my business, Embassy Cleaners, has been established locally for more than 85 years, since 1937. We have the largest dry cleaning business in Westchester County. We are nationally known and respected as an industry leader. We have been selected as one of America's best cleaners annually for the past 19 consecutive years. We are dedicated to the highest level of quality and employ a large staff, many of whom are long tenured and all of whom are local residents. Our clientele has a high-end wardrobe and is discerning. With this new building, we will be relocating our headquarters from Larchmont, where we've been for the past 85 plus years, to Eastchester. We will be relocating our offices, our enlarged production facility, our distribution, and one of our retail stores. We will also be adding a dedicated tailoring and alterations space with its own separate entrance that will be specializing in bridal alterations, and we expect that this department alone will attract clientele from throughout Westchester and Fairfield counties. My goal and expectation for my company is to make a positive contribution to the Eastchester community. I personally have made a very large investment not only in the purchase of this property last year, but also to a very significant renovation in this property, including to mechanics and infrastructure and technologies, etc. Not only will there be large permit fees and filing fees, but moving our long-established headquarters, we are investing in Eastchester. You should have received two different color propositions for this building. One is a green color, and the other one is more of a sage color. I would like to first address the green color, which is the color that we presented at the last meeting. The materials that were presented to you at the last meeting were not a good representation of this color, as the coloration of the print was poor and inaccurate. It's almost an acid green, a very bright acid green. It just did not present well at all, and I'm sure it was very off-putting. And we also gave you Pantone paint chips that were very, very small, thumbnail-sized chips that were hard to see because of their size, and they were also shiny. So the print of the green color that you have in front of you now is a better representation of the accurate color. This is, I believe the color is, let me see what it's called.
Bridal bouquet is one?
It's Bridal Bouquet 632 is the one you should be looking at now. That is the color that, that we initially presented. You should also have a large paint swatch as well, I believe, which is the greener one, correct, which gives a more accurate representation of the color. I'm asking that you please reconsider this green color, not only based on these more accurate color representations, but also based on the fact that this color really is not garish or off-putting. It is colorful, for sure, but I believe it's done in a tasteful way. As I mentioned in our last meeting, we not only have an architect for our property, but we also engage a design architect, Javier de la Garza, who is very well known in the retail design community. He is the designer for all the Loro Piana stores throughout the country, as well as Christian Dior and other very high-end retail stores. So that is his background and what he does. And he is the gentleman who put together the exterior of this building. I'd also like to mention that the colorations that you see here represent our brand colors, which are the colors that are on our website, our packaging, and our vans that will be parked in the parking lot there, not to mention all of our materials have these colors. So we would really like to try to be true to our brand colors. And lastly, with regard to this particular colorway, I would like to say that we think that this is that this will really present a tasteful and attractive building that will represent the town of Eastchester well.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
There's one other thing I just wanted to add. I apologize. Last time there was some mention of the historical element of the building itself. This building is less than 100 years old. It's not a landmark property. In fact, I don't even believe it's historical according to my design architect. It merely has Tudor elements that are decorative, but it's not a true Tudor building according to my architect. I'm not a professional, so I can't really comment on that, but this is his position.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
think that the board was trying to say that this was a historical building, but the village and the area and, you know, where it is has somewhat of a tone That's all.
Yeah, for sure.
And
What year was this building built?
I don't know, he said it's less than.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
What
you.
year was the building built?
So the furthest back I could see in the building department records is 1927. And it's a series of buildings. So in 1927, it was a smaller building, which was an automotive repair shop and Stutz dealership, Stutz Bear
27
Cap.
is the height of the Tudor style, so it is a Tudor.
Right, but the front of the building was added on in the late 1940s, which is the part that you see, and that's when the building was expanded to become, I believe, it was a Chevrolet dealership starting in 1949. The original building was kind of buried behind the front part of the building.
I just want to say, I want to thank you for showing us the two different colors. Last time we didn't have these options.
Of course.
So I like the presentation that you came up with. And the actual colors, I think we can come up with an answer today with these
Wonderful.
swatches that we showed.
Thank you.
But we're gonna base the colors on these, because the renderings do not
No.
match these colors.
Correct.
They're better than what was presented
They're still
before,
not
but
even-
it's
but they're still not even close.
difficult.
Right.
It's difficult.
Yeah, I noticed that. My architect told me that greens are very hard to replicate, certainly digitally for sure. But yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, I believe last time we talked about the color, because it was too minty, the one that you presented last time. The second color that you presenting tonight, I think is within the ballpark that we were thinking of, to get away from the pink, minty color. That's my
So-
opinion.
There's another option with the minty color, which I didn't mention before. The minty color is shown with a white trim. If we were to use a softer white on the trim, perhaps that would soften the total overall look. I have some samples to show you if that would matter.
Color for the white.
He did the last time.
Yes.
Some of the other softer whites. If you,
Is that for the trim?
that would be for the trim. So if you would kindly juxtapose the minty or green next to one of those colors, you could see how it really tones it down.
This looks green to me.
Yeah.
That looks too green.
So then you would paint the entire building that color? Or
Yes.
just the trim? Okay.
Well, no, yeah, the parts of the building that are now white would be in one of
One of
those
those
softer
colors.
colors, yes. Yeah, the green is not a majority of the building. It's just,
It's just that when you put the colors on the building, they're going to get dirty, they're going to fade, they're not going to, they're going to look great at the very beginning, but then they're going to mellow into something else.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to start out too faint, because then it'll just fade.
well, I think that, certainly the green will, I'm sure, soften and get mellower relatively quickly, I would imagine.
So,
This elevation here,
Let's see that.
what exactly does this represent? Which color this represent?
That is supposed to be the sage
The sage.
color, which is the other color number is called,
Yeah.
it's called Tint 458 and Benjamin Moore Sage.
Personally. You concerned this is going to wash out?
It kind of looks dull, you know?
Yeah.
It looks more like an outdoor color to me. This looks like an indoor color to me.
That's the color they've asked, saw one the other day.
I'm sure it is, but it looks too Central Avenue. All right, so I guess then we can vote as a board, which option you prefer.
Do you have a personal preference?
Yeah.
My personal preference is the bridal bouquet, the mintier green, and because that is our brand color. And I would
Oh, that is
like,
your brand.
that's
Yeah,
our brand color. I would like to be true to our brand guide, if at all possible.
So what does that mean? Like all of the pieces of paper and the hangers and stuff for all that?
Trucks, it's trucks.
So, yes, so all of our packaging is with that green. All of our vans and trucks are of that green. Our website has that green tone to it. It's just what we're known for, what we're trying to reinforce.
And you figured if it's not this, then it's a sort of lesser gradation of that green? That's
Right,
the-
so
that's the
my
sage.
my first choice would be our brand color green. My second choice would be that same minty brand color green, but instead of a white building, a softer white that would tone down the color of the minty green. And my last choice would be that sage color, which really doesn't represent our brand color, but at least it's in the ballpark, and, you know, I suppose we could work with that.
Then I'm fine either way, you know, like whatever you guys think.
Whatever, all right. Carlos, the B,
That's what I picked, yeah.
is it one or two? Two.
I
You
still, I
guys, you
think this one
still
is
prefer
still good.
one and one as well, or where are you?
I,
I prefer
I'm,
this.
well, I do like the sage color better, but it is his brand color, the other color. But I agree, if he doesn't use white, but actually the white that they're using is not white. Benjamin Moore has a million whites, like, so an OC 151 is off-white. So I
That's what he's
think,
proposing.
yeah, right. So I think that kind of helps the bridal color, because that is a bright color.
It helps, but I just don't think that this is an outside color that we should find on any piece of property in Eastchester. I just don't think that this is, like, I wouldn't paint a house this color, I just think it's garish. I think it just doesn't belong as an exterior color. And I know that you said you have places in Scarsdale and Larchmont and yada yada and Rye, wherever they are. I'm sure they're not this color green, and I'm sure they wouldn't want you to make it this color green.
They will be.
Well,
We'll have to see what the ARB says in those towns, but,
yeah,
yeah.
but I don't feel that it's appropriate for the exterior of a building in the
Yeah.
town of Eastchester. I just don't think
It helps that our architect is on the planning board in Mamaroneck, Larchmont, I suppose. But,
But I think you're proposing the alternate color as something that's, you know, related to your brand and your color, right? Like, I think you spoke eloquently about the building and you know, the architectural attributes of the building, and certainly based on your presentation, it looks like a very, very, you know, very nice, aesthetically pleasing building, the windows, the flower boxes, you know, it kind of conjures up almost like a wedding cake to me. So I do kind of agree that the minty green is a little overwhelming. And I think with, you know, everybody's going to know, you know, your brand is your brand, right? Like you've spoken about your brand, and it's more than just the color you paint on the outside of the building. It's everything that happens inside the building, and your name, and the 85 years that you've been in existence. So I think as our role as the ARB, you know, we're looking to try and, you know, make the building fit into the environment and neighborhood as best we can. So I think my colleague's comment, and I tend to agree, we certainly want to try and make that as easy as possible, as opposed to, boom, you know, here it is. And I think that green is a little iridescent, you know, it's a little, you know, it's a little loud. And I think the other sagey color is a little more toned down.
Your point is very well taken. You know, I believe you've supported it very well in terms of the fact that it is a brighter color for sure. But you know, your colleague had mentioned that over time things start to get soil cover, or for whatever reason, you know, sun exposure, where it does start to degrade a bit. I'm not sure how long that would take, but do you think that after a period of a few months that it may be at a level which would not be as bright as you are concerned about?
I don't think we're in a place to guesstimate that, really. I don't think that that's, and I, again, just don't want this to be, even if it's for 3 months or whatever, you know, the color that's there. I just think it's inappropriate for, you know, a little villagey street front place. It's not Central Avenue, it's not a mall, it's not whatever, and I think that this color would be very tasteful.
Okay. As I said before, you know, the sage is an acceptable fallback option for us. It's not representative completely of our brand color, but it certainly is something that I think we could work with. So I appreciate your consideration of the sage as well, so thank you for that.
And then as far as the white, guys, are you more just into the bright white, or keeping it the bright white with the sage, or?
With the sage, the white.
The white.
The
Bright
OC
white.
The OC 151.
The OC 151?
Yeah, I think that's the number.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that the sample that I gave you, the
Yeah.
OC
The
151?
white.
That's the
Okay.
whitest of the, I'll give you these two.
Yeah,
If you-
great.
I'll just leave them here for now. And so that will be the colors. Actually, you know what, let me
Actually,
just
can we read
read
them
them
into-
into
yeah, please.
the minutes, and then we'll give them to you later. Okay, so, is there anyone here, because we left the public meeting open, is there anyone here who wants to talk about this? No, okay. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public meeting for application, I'm sorry, I don't have the 23-13.
1-3. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then I'd like to make a motion to pass this application along to the planning board with the recommendation of approval of the colors number 458, sage tint, for the green portion of the facade, and the color OC 151 for the white,
For the trim. Yeah.
for the trim and the rest of wherever the white is in the building.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Great,
Good luck.
thank you.
Good luck with your business.
I really appreciate that, thank you.
These to you. Oh, there's some more. Yes. Do you want to, like, just circle it or something?
When are you looking to be open?
We hope to have the production in the offices open in July.
You can set yourself up, next guy. Sorry.
In July?
Hopefully in July, retail by August.
Put that on his pile.
Good. Good luck.
so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. Good luck.
Thank you.
Very much.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Good evening. Next up on our agenda is application 22-49 for 120 Lake Shore Drive.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Louis Campana, architect of record for the applicant. 120 Lakeshore Drive is a property situated in the R15 zone. It's a corner lot, and the house that exists currently is a one-story house comprised of asphalt roofing, yellow aluminum siding, and red brick veneer. What we're proposing is to remove all of the existing finishes and windows from the structure, meanwhile salvaging the first floor exterior walls and also foundation. We do have a projection increasing the footprint towards the front of the house, and in front of that we have a new veranda, which would be comprised of stone with steps that would cascade down to the driveway area. The site does slope up quite drastically from the south to the north, hence the steps that are located at the front corner. We also did acquire a zoning variance from the ZBA a couple months ago for the front corner of the house and the new projection. It was a minor 14 inches, but we were granted a variance. We'll also be constructing a second story on top of the first floor as well. There is an existing pressure-treated deck which will be reconstructed during this phase of work as well. And we're also proposing the AC condensers, 2 condensers, which will be located on the back side of the house below the deck. There's a walkout basement, so there's plenty of clearance. In terms of the materials, we will be using Anderson E-Series windows. We have an EFIS stucco veneer. We'll have a 3 inches of insulation behind the stucco finish, which would create nice deep jams at the windows, create some depth. We did have a change in color for the stucco. Where it was dove gray, we're actually going to be changing that to canvas. I have that here, so you can take a look at it.
Okay.
So that's the main color?
Yes, that would be the color of the stucco. We'll also have a dark gray standing seam aluminum roof, white K-style gutters and leaders, and all the trim will be composed of boral, which is a cementitious trim material which doesn't rot, similar to AZAC, but it's not PVC. It's more of a cementitious material with wood fiber, and that would be white. I believe I wrote it on the top of that sample. It's OC 152.
Super white.
Yeah, super white.
So is that more like a hardy plank kind of a material, that it's cementitious?
It's, I guess it's similar to hardy, but it's meant to be painted. Hardy
Okay,
can be
has-
shipped primed and then painted in the field, but usually when clients do go with hardy board, they go with a pre-finished material.
Righty.
Here's I'll go to the elevations, but we'll have fieldstone veneer along the piers and wall in front of the front facade. And all the flat work will be thermal bluestone, and copings will be 2-inch square flamed edges. And same thing with treads. There'll be 2-inch thickness with square flamed edges. Oh, and the railings. The balcony railings will be black iron with square and rectilinear profiles. With the front elevation, see we have the first floor addition here for the kitchen to give the kitchen a bit more space. We're also creating a 2-story element above the entrance, which will have a rusticated base, which is basically just the same thing or application as the EFIS, but the insulation takes on a different shape to give it the reveals, or the grooves, I should say. The light fixtures will be, I have it on the material list here, the Duveau square sconce from Restoration Hardware, and those are shown throughout the exterior elevations as well. More specifically around all of the patio doors, the front entry, here again on the patio door, and then along the garage as well. We have the back of the house and the north elevation. So we have a series of balconies along the rear of the house with the balcony, the black iron railings. This is the reconstructed pressure-treated deck in the rear. And then along the north side, you see we have a window well, which I forgot to mention on the site plan, but the window well will also have a guardrail for fall protection. The decorative brackets that you would see along the elevations, those would also be constructed out of the stucco EFIS system. With that, any questions?
Yes, before you mentioned something about the thickness of the insulation and the window,
Yes.
application, is it meant to look like a masonry?
That's the effect that we're trying to accomplish. So the stucco veneer will roll into the window frame. So the windows would be set back that 3 inches from the facade.
So kind of like the brick house next door in that same,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, exactly.
What color are the windows?
White.
White.
What about the decking itself? You said pressure treated, is that the decking itself is pressure treated as well?
The decking is, yes. The deck is existing. Apparently, there was a very big to-do about the deck. Some variance was required. I'm not sure why, but,
So you're just
so
keeping it there?
we're keeping it.
It remains.
Yes. I mean, it's going to have to be temporarily shored up and detached from the house so that they can finish, put a ledger in and then reconnect, but yes.
On the front facade, these details,
The corbels, are
are
they,
they corbels, or do they come out quite far, or are they just kind of like
There, you can see it actually,
their side view somewhere?
the side elevation, the north side elevation, and you can see how they're it's basically just a simple texture beneath the
Okay.
cantilevered portions of the second floor and the balconies.
So the depth is not that much different than the width, really, kind of like,
Right, they project, I believe, I don't have the dimension here, but I believe they're about 12 to 14 inches.
and that would be out of that material, the cementitious
That
material,
would
or-
be, well, it would be constructed out of the insulation, and then it would be stucco.
Oh, okay, it'll be
So it'll
stucco.
blend with the walls, just give the color a bit of texture, as opposed to changing the material.
And the board above that is Burrell?
Yeah.
And then looking at the streetscape, it's really not significantly drastic different from the other two homes beside it, correct?
Right, so it is smaller, definitely, because we are sticking with that same footprint, but I'm sure we all are familiar with the Lake Isle Estates. It's a rather eclectic
Yes.
ensemble of architectural styles, to say the least. But yes, This house right here is actually, if I go back to the site plan, it's around the corner.
Okay,
This is property juts way far out, so the two neighboring properties are sort of, can't really see them from the front of this house.
okay.
And then one of them is across the street. I believe it was this one here, which is across the street.
Okay, so that's not like a
No,
street-
streetscape, no.
Yeah, yeah. It's very difficult to do a streetscape with the house, how it's
Yeah, the
situated.
way it is, the way it's situated on the property.
And there's quite a bit of grade change as well.
It's really only 3,500 square, which is a big house, but it presents
Bigger.
bigger than it is.
I think it has to do with the detailing.
Yeah.
You would expect that type of detailing in a larger structure, for sure.
Yeah. And again, I guess the question was asked about the deck. I guess the deck looks like it's a new build, right? So,
Yes, it does.
but is it realistic to think that you're going to do all this work and keep that deck in its existing form?
If it cannot be saved, then we'll have to certainly come back with a new application.
I just can't,
Yeah.
I'm not
But I
sure.
do understand your point. Detaching it and then reattaching may
yeah.
cause issues with the
Like, it
leveling
looks pretty
structure.
new, but with, listening to what you said,
Right.
I'm just not sure how ideal it's going to be to maintain and save that.
Are there new garage doors?
Yes, new garage doors. Those would be white insulated vinyl garage doors.
So are you proposing a new railing on the deck, or to match the other railings, or it's gonna just stay the
No,
way it
that's
is?
going to be, that'll be the wood railing
Okay.
as it is today.
And the other railings, though, will be...
The ones on the balconies
Yeah.
and along the window well, those would be black iron.
And the existing AC unit will remain underneath the deck?
Yes, and we'll be adding one as well.
Are they on the deck or underneath?
They're beneath the deck. Yeah.
So on the east elevation, you see the deck with the wood railing, and then the one at that same level, is at the same floor, is that, that railing, because it looks different. You know which one I'm talking about? Yes. Is that wooden also? It looks
No.
as thick as the wood and not as thin as the one above it.
I
Is it just the rendering thing?
No, I think that just needs to be changed to reflect the iron railing.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can do that.
Okay.
For the planning
And so
board.
then, the one on the bottom corners like that, the one on the top does not, or?
We would get rid of the piers in the corners and just do the balcony rail
Okay.
like everywhere else.
Yeah, I don't think it needs it, really.
So, the foundation plan, A200, the only thing that remains part of the existing home is just the basement plan, right? Like, everything else, in essence, is brand new construction.
So,
The garage, the mechanical room, the existing office.
so that's existing to be renovated, correct?
Right.
The new footprint,
The foundation in its current footprint, adding on the, the front side, but everything
Right.
from the top of the foundation wall up is it new?
is essentially, well, for the most part, it's going to end up being new, just because of
Right.
window placements and all the
Like, are you
others, but-
ripping everything, like, whatever's, because right now, it's just a one-story home, like, are you ripping everything down to the top of the foundation wall and reframing it, and,
We'll probably end up keeping the studs, sistering the studs with new, and then putting new plates on top.
right, okay. Because in essence, it's a brand-new house.
It looks that way,
Well,
It's an addition.
but it is an addition alteration.
Addition alteration.
Good answer.
It looks that way.
And the roof is a standing seam roof?
Yes, yeah.
What's the color on that?
It's dark gray. Dark gray.
It's on, it's
Okay.
There's actually a house just a few doors down on the north side of Lakeshore Drive that actually has the same roof that we're going to be using.
It's like coated copper, which is silver.
Lead coat, it's similar, but the aluminum won't patina like the lead coated copper would. It would remain consistent.
and it's 1/10 the price.
Exactly, yeah.
And you do say this stucco is dove gray, but it's this canvas color,
We've
right?
made the change, so the two things so far that we need to reflect in our next submission to the
Right.
planning board if we're referred is the stucco color and the balcony railing that we just discussed.
And are there any trees coming down on this property?
There's none, there are no trees proposed to come down,
Okay,
yeah. Because we are sticking with, except for the front porch, we're
At the
sticking with the same
entranceway.
footprint.
okay.
But
But
it is a corner lot, so the owner does have some work to do with landscaping to, to enhance that curb appeal of the property at least.
I think unfortunately, with the whole, the trees, while the road to hell is paved with good intentions, you know, the resulting construction work, while may not necessarily impact the tree as you see it, you know, a lot of the construction impacts the root ball and the roots, and subsequently,
Right. The
trees are
One-
compromised.
Right, so the one tree that sits actually very close to the house, there's a couple in the back, obviously near the deck. These are overgrown and they're not in great shape at all, the ones near the deck in the rear. But the one in the front, that would be in the footprint of the new,
The new addition?
the
so that
new
would have
So
to
that's
come down.
coming down.
veranda. So that one would come down, correct?
Right,
The
that's
one in
right
front.
there, yeah.
I was thinking you were asking about around the property, not necessarily what's being directly
Anything
impacted.
on the property,
Yeah.
if any of the trees on the
Okay.
property are going to be, are going to have to come down. Are any of them oak trees, do you know?
I'm not sure.
You know, on this one
They
here,
look to be
to
evergreen.
the side of the deck looks,
If you have oak trees, you can be guaranteed a hammer-toned roof in a few years. Speaking from experience,
Understood.
which is fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can see some of these evergreens that are up close to the house. Ideally, those would come down just because of the sheer age, and they're
Right,
they're
right.
unkempt at the
the
moment.
one right there at the corner of the deck
Yeah.
is,
So being that this
This
is
one here?
technically an renovation addition, I don't think you're required to do a landscape plan,
Right.
but,
Would have had one if we needed it.
I'm sorry?
We would have had one.
If you
Put
did,
together
I
if we
know.
needed it.
But I think it may be helpful for the planning board, because being that it is the corner property and there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I can't require you to do that, but I would
Right.
suggest that if you can. They're going to need it anyway.
Right.
After all this is done, said and done. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a major thing, and it would be really helpful to just have something to go by.
I have one request. Could it potentially be a condition of the building permit? Only because we're coming up to a 2-month.
No, I don't think, not,
No?
especially not if it's absolutely not required. They're not, they can't do that, but,
Right.
what, the planning board is in, what, 2 weeks? Is that-
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a
so-
little
so
early this month.
That's
Okay.
just my suggestion, that if you could do that, that would be really nice.
Okay.
It would be helpful, and it would be,
Well, whatever trees you want to protect, you should put 6 inches of wood chips with plywood and mats and a wood tree guard around it. And the conifers, the evergreens won't survive. They are
Right.
they're too close to the house, and they have very shallow root systems. That's why you see, sometimes when we have real wind storms, that you see them just flip over, because their roots are wide but very shallow.
Right.
So if you want to save more hardwood trees that are deciduous, like maples and elms and oaks or whatever you have, I would suggest you put 6 inches of wood chips with plywood and mats and around what they call the critical root zone.
Right.
You can determine that, and then put a wooden tree guard, just so that equipment doesn't ding it.
Of course.
If
yeah.
you want to keep
I
whatever
think
you want to keep.
the site development plan, what I'll have the civil engineer do is do a tree protection plan, showing the details for the fencing
Yep,
around, and also the mulch,
yes.
yes, 6 inches.
So, does anyone have any other questions about the materials or anything else? Okay, so then, I think we need to make a motion to open up application 22-49 to the public.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I doubt there's anybody here, because there's nobody that I can see invisible. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for application 22-49.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. And then I'd like to make a motion to advance application 22-49 to the planning board with the recommendation for approval and a request for a landscape plan, if possible,
Yeah,
for them
and
to
tree
see.
protection plan.
Yes, and tree protection plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. There you go.
You have to close.
It did.
Sign. Oh, sorry. I'd like to make a motion to close the ARB meeting for June 1st, 2023.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, and good night, Eastchester.
Thank you.